If you're just starting out on YouTube, or maybe you've started and you're still trying to kind of figure everything out, well, first of all, welcome to the YouTube party. By the way, my name's Kevin Colby, but I wanted to share with you some highlights of a study that YouTube has come out with called the YouTube Culture and Trends Report. It's like a special 20th anniversary edition because I don't know if you knew this, YouTube celebrated a birthday in 2025. They turned 20. So I I'm not gonna use AI, but just imagine it's one of those little party maker things celebrating it. I joined YouTube in 2017 and didn't do a lot with my channel for quite a while and then got a little bit more focused, which is we're going to talk about that as one of the points, but I want to share some takeaways from this report that I think is phenomenal. YouTube is my only platform. It's the only platform I create for. I did a whole video about things I learned after getting to 100,000 subscribers, and I touch on that a little, but I am like all about YouTube. I'm not saying YouTube is perfect. There's some quirky things I don't like, but there is no platform like YouTube. And so some of the takeaways in here I want to go through, like global reach. Currently, do you know YouTube started in a garage? I didn't realize that until I read the report. Started in a garage. Did Macintosh? Windows? I don't know, one of those. YouTube reaches over 100 countries and 80 languages. Now, I know English. That's all I know. I went on a I went on a mission trip years ago to Honduras, and I really wanted to learn some Spanish. I didn't know anything, and I learned the word baños and donada and completely confused them. So we were delivering food to these beautiful people in this village, and they would say something that I think was they were thanking me, and I would say baños. The whole time I thought I was saying thank you, and I was saying bathroom. So that's what I know about other languages. But one of the things that I really like that YouTube has rolled out is a feature called auto dubbing, auto dubbing. And they've recently now made it available to every channel, every creator that's in the YouTube partner program. If you're not in the partner program, you probably don't have it yet. I don't know when they're going to release it. I really hope it's going to be widespread. But what this does is this video will take advantage of that. So when I upload a video, I click that box and it will automatically dub, auto dub, this video or any video I have enabled into all of these other languages. And I've had other folks say, I don't think it's perfect, but I've had other folks in other countries say, I actually speak like German and I could watch and listen to you in my native language and it wasn't bad. So when you consider how global dominant YouTube has become and that they're available in that many countries and languages, and then you have a feature like that, it does give you the opportunity to reach even more people. Pretty cool. Another one is they actually have put the U in tube, like YouTube. Just think about that. But they say this in there that audiences initially drawn to creators through shared special interests stay for the innovative ways those creators explored and expanded on those fixations. You may have heard this before, but YouTube is a search engine. Typically, when people go there, they're looking for something. They're looking to learn something, education. They're looking to be entertained. And it can be a quasi of this. Hopefully, this video, you'll learn something from it. Maybe I'll keep you a little entertained along the way. But if you think about what YouTube is saying in their research over 20 years, is that a lot of times people are drawn to what a creator has to say, maybe what they've done, but then they end up staying for other things, maybe the way people teach and things like that. I mean, I look at the channels that I've subscribed to, and there's all various reasons. Sometimes it's the storytelling. Sometimes it's just they're sharing whatever it is they're going to share. Sometimes they're talking about a piece of tech or a gear. But what's really nice is that it's allowed that to happen. Now, they mentioned some content that has grown over time, and one is called Let's Play, where literally people are playing and reacting to video games. There was I look, I haven't ever done video play on this on this channel, but I remember my oldest son, when he was young, got into Minecraft. And the first time he showed it to me, honestly, I thought, this is the stupidest thing I've ever seen in my life. It's just, are you kidding? And it wasn't long because he wanted me to play with him that I was I start to say digging. I was really digging Minecraft. I had this thing about could I dig all the way through and how far in the game. But there are Minecraft channels out there that all they do is they videotape themselves playing and they talk over it. That is huge. Another one is Get Ready for Me. Now, this is not one I watch, but it's literally people sharing about life while they're getting ready. I do think that this is more prevalent in the makeup area where, the ladies are putting on their makeup and stuff like that. I mean, look, this doesn't take a lot of work. But those are a couple of types of ways that people have leaned into that to be able to share just themselves. YouTube also went on to say YouTube has empowered individuals to create content rooted in personal passion, free from industry expectations or conventional ideas of what sells. To me, I think this is one of the greatest things that YouTube has done for me. Personal passions. I love gear stuff and tech stuff. I'm also older, so there's a lot of things about productivity and how I've tried to figure out ways to create and earn a living after my position went away when I was 57. So I'm sharing more of that, but I don't have to rely on what a business model is telling me. And, I came from the world of TV and for the longest time worked for a Fox station. And we would have shows that would live and die based on panels and ratings. And sometimes there was this thing called Upfront. So every May, networks would do upfronts in front of advertisers and they would show pilots of the new season, which had always started in fall. And it inevitably? Yeah, I'll go with inevitably. Since I was a creative director, we would see these pilots ahead of time, and almost every year, there would be a pilot of a show that was shown to the advertisers that never made it because focus group didn't work, writers, went on strike, something happened. Sometimes they completely changed the actors by the time they shot the pilot to the time it was actually picked up. For example, do you remember the show New Girl that was on, Fox? Was it Zoe Deschanel? I know there's 2 of the sisters, one was on Bones, I think it's Zoe. Well, they shot the pilot, and one of the guys was, I think it was one of the I don't know who it was, but I think it was one of the Wayans brothers, or either he came in later. But they shot the pilot and they sat on it for months and months. And then before the season kicked off in the fall, Fox picked it up for a series. But by that time, that actor had already committed to something else. So if you go back and watch New Girl, watch episode 1 and then episode 2. When it ran on TV, it was only 1 week apart, but the character was completely recast. Again, you don't have those restrictions on YouTube, which is really kind of cool. All right, another one is it's hip to be niche. Now, there's a lot of folks that put these videos out and say, don't niche, you be the niche. And I kind of get what they're saying, especially if you're in front of the camera and people can relate to you. Sometimes they like you, sometimes they don't. But I do think some area of focus is a good thing. I start saying not a bad thing. It's a good thing. Now you can really drill down to very, very specific. Take the channel Epic Gardening. Now, just by saying the name, do you have a good idea what it might be about? You're not going to go to Epic Gardening and find videos on quilting or probably rock climbing or probably photography. You're going to find videos on gardening. So that is a way to niche. I did this kind of in a way in terms of the way I leaned into my audience of people I wanted to talk to like you over 40. And I realize you may be under 40 watching this, and I'm good with that. One of the things YouTube says in this report is that videos with niche audiences drive more viewership. Now, I heard my friend Justin Brown, Primal Video, say once when somebody asked him, well, can I do this? Can I do this? Can I do this on my channel? And he said, well, it's your channel. You can do whatever you want. And that's true. One of the things that I see that really, I believe, holds people back is the fear of getting it wrong. Well, Kevin, should I do a video on this or this? Should I do a channel on this or this? Well, I like this and this and this. And so, what is it, that paralysis by analysis? You can do whatever you want. And especially if you're just starting out, I'd try everything and just kind of see where your passion and what you're into, and ultimately what might be able to earn you a living, even if it's, on the side or just as a hobby level. We're going to talk about that in just a second. But the more that you can lean into a niche, and I think a niche can be defined by topic, by group of people, by shared commonality of things. The more you can do that, viewers it helps viewership. Now, I'm not talking about just doing it for the numbers, but I'm talking about finding that community, right? And I don't know that I've shared enough within being over 40, just what life is like. I'm over 60, by the way, but I talk to people over 40. So if you resist a niche, maybe rethink about that. And if you're not completely sure what that niche is, that's okay too. I've even done a video about kind of how to discover it, some of the steps I went through, kind of my process. And I'll put a link to that down below. I think it's worth watching. Okay, this section I'm calling Direct is the New Distribution. Now, at my age, I grew up and there were three networks. Eventually, there were four when Fox was introduced. But, for the longest time, there was ABC, CBS, and NBC, long before internet. And that's how you got everything. In fact, at the time, my parents got two newspapers. They got the morning paper and the evening paper. And when finally, I think it was the evening paper went away where they lived, it just wrecked their world. But now it's gone beyond that, where internet is just as popular sometimes as broadcast. But with that in mind, here's what YouTube says in the report. Not only did this new direct connection between creators and audience lead to new genres of entertainment, so they were talking about just how internet changed everything. It sparked a seismic shift in how culture is created and shared globally. Music, movies, television, and most pop culture largely stayed within national borders, with global success often requiring major backing. So basically, the way it used to be, if you were a musician and a label didn't sign you, what'd you do? If you were a filmmaker and you wanted to do, say, a documentary, what did you do? You don't even need Netflix anymore. You don't need Amazon Prime for that. YouTube removed those barriers, making culture instantly accessible across countries and communities. Well, Kevin, how about some examples? Okay, I thought you'd never ask. So I thought of these three channels. Mary Spender. Mary Spender is an independent artist. She's got a great voice. I guess she's from Great Britain. I'm not sure. Maybe Australia. But she is a really good artist who her channel is all about music, and she talks about her experiences. She's released songs on there. I think she's got a new album. But Mary Spender is a great example of someone who is an independent musician who's making a living that way, and YouTube has been a major factor in that. Sean Chandler talks about, and there's a whole backstory with Sean, but he was a former youth pastor who just loved movies. I think he was still a youth pastor at the time. He and his wife go to see a movie. I forgot what it was. And he thought, you know what? I'm just going to do a review. And he did a review and he uploaded it to YouTube, and his world changed over time, not immediately, but over time. And now Sean is full time on YouTube and he talks about mainly movies now. And he's a super cool guy. But if you think about that, I grew up where if you were interested in a movie and you wanted to know the review, you either watched the local news for the one guy to give you his review. I did like Siskel and Ebert at the movies, but that came on once a week. Or you read the reviews in the paper, sometimes the magazine. Well, now Sean has a whole channel, and there's many others like that. There's also another channel called The Chosen Sleuth. The Chosen Sleuth. Hmm. I bet he talks about The Chosen. So going back to the niche, this dude's channel is all about The Chosen. Well, now, Kevin, what happens when The Chosen wraps up? I don't know. I know there's people still out there doing channels on Lord of the Rings, on the first three movies, on 24, one of my favorite shows, on Star Trek, the original, which hasn't been on forever. So my point is that this guy, the Chosen Sleuth, he shares all about the show The Chosen. So if you think about what YouTube says, YouTube removed the barriers, making culture instantly accessible across countries and communities. So not only is that good to build a community with, a niche, if you will, and especially The Chosen is a niche, but it also allows a creator. So if you're looking for types of things to do, well, maybe think about things that you're really into and you're passionate about, direct to the people you want to talk to. That is the new way to distribute your content. All right, something else that is really unique about YouTube is the partner program. Now, they launched the partner program in 2007. And if you're not that familiar with it, here it is in a nutshell. Typically, to get the most out of it, when you reach 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 hours of watch time, there's a way to get there through shorts, but it's a ridiculous number. It's insane. I mean, it's millions. So I just stick with this one. That's when I got invited into the program. 1,000 subscribers and over 4,000 hours of watch time. YouTube invites you into the partner program. And there's a lot of perks there. There's a lot of ways that you can monetize your video and your channel, including ads. So when YouTube runs ads on my videos, which, by the way, if you have YouTube Premium, which I don't make any, YouTube isn't an affiliate. It's a free platform I'm using. When YouTube runs ads on my channel, I get a percentage of that. Even if you decide to get YouTube Premium, I have YouTube Premium, so I don't have to watch the ads, but I pay for it. But it also gives me some other perks too. If you have YouTube Premium, you don't see the ads, and I still get something from that because otherwise, what a horrible way to treat a creator is that, well, you only get that if people aren't subscribing to Premium. The thing is that people miss this because I hear this all the time. Well, Kevin, I don't care anything about making money on YouTube. That's fine. I never want to monetize my channel. That's fine. You don't have to. YouTube, because it's their platform, they have the right, whether you like it or not, they have the right to run ads on your videos. Even if you're not in the partner program, they can run ads on your videos. Even if you qualify for the partner program and you don't turn ads on, they can run ads on your videos. Well, they shouldn't be allowed to do that. Well, get over it. It's their platform because they can, because they're a business, and that's one of the main ways they make money is running ads. My thing is, if they're going to run ads on your video and you get to that point where then you can qualify for the partner program, why not join? Why not just turn ads on? Now you can decide where they are. You can do pre-roll, mid-roll, and post-roll. I used to never have mid-roll turned on. I just thought, well, I don't know. It's kind of like, I didn't want to disrupt the flow. And then I thought, how many shows do I watch that they stick commercials in the middle of something? Amazon Prime has gotten that way now with their ads, and I'm not going to pay extra to go ad free on Amazon Prime. That's a different rant. So I turned it on. And what I realized is without it turned on, I was losing the possibility of earning more. And for those of you that don't think creators should earn money, well, maybe this video isn't for you, but that's one of the ways I earn. But check this out. Between 2021 and 2023, YouTube, just in that 2-year period, YouTube paid out over 70 billion, with a B, billion dollars to creators. Yeah, I know. Meta's got a program. Does LinkedIn have a program? I don't know. TikTok and everything. But there is no partner program that pays what YouTube does. And I know for somebody's going to say you're just shilling for them, you're advertising for them. No, 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 no. YouTube pays me because of views and things like that, but I don't have a direct connection with them. I am not a YouTuber. I'm Kevin. I'm me. They did say this in there, that creators were and are everyday people with creative aspirations, but lacking access to the massive infrastructure and audiences of traditional media. They built audiences and a platform not through Hollywood stakeholders, but one video at a time. Again, going back to my time in television, you know, every year Fox would tell us the new shows coming out. And then we would buy shows in syndication. So, like, one of the shows that we had in syndication was The King of Queens, which, by the way, as a side note, when my job was eliminated and I started doing my own thing, working for myself, basically, I actually had the opportunity to create a campaign for The King of Queens in syndication, working with Sony Pictures Television. It was really cool. I actually have it linked on my other channel, my projects channel, if you wanted to go check it out. But anyway, but we bought The King of Queens. So The King of Queens originally aired on CBS. After a certain number of years, then they would sell it in syndication. So that's why, even probably still to this day, I just don't watch broadcast that much. Still to this day, you may see like The King of Queens on 5 days a week. That's called syndication. Well, that was really the way to build the audience, right? If you had an album you wanted to release, there were only certain ways to do it. If you had a movie, there were only certain ways you want to do it. But YouTube realized that creators were and are everyday people. We've got creative aspirations, but sometimes we didn't have access to that. Well, YouTube has broken through all that, and with the partner program, they're saying, "Hey, look, we will share in our success with you." Yes, they're going to keep the biggest cut, but you know what? It's a way to make money. They went on to say they shared backgrounds, the creators, they shared backgrounds and interests with the audience that watched them because they had just been a part of that same audience. Look, I love movies and I love TV shows, but I don't feel a part of that. I did go on the Universal tour once and saw the house from Psycho and where they shot Back to the Future, and that was really cool. But I'm not a part of that. I see people like me on YouTube. I see people like me with similar interests and other things, and there's this relatedness that I get with YouTube that I don't feel like, "Oh, yeah, it's a Hollywood guy," or something like that. So, again, going back to the partner program, if you have an opportunity to get into it, I would strongly recommend it. Something else that came out of the report is that entertainment and information has totally been redefined because of YouTube. Check this out. There's over 1 billion hours of video watched every day on YouTube. Staggering. Now, keep in mind, YouTube is a global phenomena, right? Whether whether you like YouTube or not, but I mean, if you don't like YouTube, why are you watching this? Anyway, I I digress. Since February of 2023, YouTube has ranked number one in streaming every month. So every month since February 2023, YouTube is ranked number one in streaming. Now, I find this ironic. The source of that is Nielsen, not a person, but Nielsen is a rating services that when I worked in television, I guess they're still this way. I'm not sure about radio, but we lived and died by Nielsen ratings. That's how we knew how we were doing. We would get the ratings every day. We would see what was up, what was down. We would make plans from that. Networks, the same thing. That's why some of your shows, they might last a few episodes and then you never see them again because the ratings weren't strong enough. YouTube is beating that. So, what has been growing on YouTube, and I think this might be something to think about in how you're creating and maybe things you want to create. YouTube on TV. Now, this is not YouTube TV. This is YouTube on TV. Watching it on your TV, regardless of the size of your TV, has grown big time. Now, I think there's a lot of things that have added to this. One is YouTube getting the rights to NFL. I mean, that was a strategic plan, as with anybody who's bid on that. But when you think about it, it's gotten bigger and bigger on TV, which is a completely different experience. So that means, I mean, I know on our TV, we've got like a Roku TV, and what we have up there is Amazon Prime, Netflix, Tubi, Pluto TV, I forgot what else is on there, and YouTube. So just last night, my wife and I we watched a show, and then we went to YouTube because I wanted to show her this really cool What's the channel? Exploring Alternatives, and this guy's living like in a 100 square foot apartment in Ottawa. It's unreal. We're watching it on our television. It's just amazing. Another one, podcast. Podcast. By the way, I wrote a book on it. Podcasting, video podcasting made easy. Put a link to that down below. Wrote it with my friend Ross Bram. Podcasting right now, over 1 billion monthly active podcast users. Now, part of this is because like this video you're watching or listening to will also be a podcast. So I'll click that. There's a way to do that. I've done a video on that. I probably should do more on that as well because I think videos like this are perfect as video podcast. So what this means is on YouTube Music, podcasts will be shown, and I even get analytics for that. But then I can also take the audio of this and I can put it on other places. YouTube now is like the leading platform for podcasting. In fact, here's what's funny. There was a video I saw the other day, and I sent the link to two of my friends who both said to me, it was a video link. Yeah, one says, I just listened to this on my drive back in. And the other dude said, yeah, I was listening to this at the gym. So depending on what you do or what you may be doing, don't lose sight of podcast. And, if you want to think of podcast, always think of it for the ear. So if you're listening to this, visually you didn't mention anything or miss anything. If you're watching this, it still works as audio. Another one is short form. Yes, shorts. Yes, YouTube is huge into shorts. No, I don't like shorts, but I'm not going to deny that they are a thing. But what's interesting is what they're saying is it's video under a minute. That's what's seen the explosive growth on there. So, should you do shorts? That's really up to you. I did them for a while. I didn't like them. I did a whole video on why I took them off my channel. I personally don't like the format. And take this for what it is. My channel continued to grow without shorts. I'm not saying don't do shorts. I'm saying I don't do shorts. I've been fine without them. I plan on being fine without them. But one of the things that has been continuing to grow are videos under a minute. But check this one out, long form, specifically videos over 60 minutes. So for people out there that say long form is dead, I don't know what you're reading. I don't know what you're watching, but it ain't dead. It's healthy and alive. So you that doesn't mean like a 10-minute video can't work or a 15-minute or a 30-minute or a 45. What I'm saying though is don't fear leaning into long form. Now, if you just get there and you're just rambling on all day long and you still have to decide what you want to talk about and things like that. But if we go back to a couple of the others we were talking about, like get ready with me and let's play, if I'm going to sit there and watch somebody do video and they're going to talk about something. Maybe they're talking about a show they've been watching while they're playing the video game. I don't watch those. I have played video games before. But you know what? I don't want a minute of that. It may take a while. Based on what you teach, based on what you share, based on what you want to talk about, the best thing to do is experiment. I definitely would not start your YouTube journey with I can only do this. Why? Try shorts. Try long form. Try in between the shorts and the long form. Try live streaming. Try podcasting. Try different things and see what happens. I don't live stream as much as I did, but I still love live streaming. Could this have been a live stream? Yeah, probably could have. Might have been easier if I just live streamed it and then it would have been done. There is no platform like YouTube. And no, I'm not shilling for YouTube. And if you feel like I am, then fine, have a great day. But I'm not going to try and convince you. But I'm telling you right now, if if you have a business, a nonprofit, or just like me, like you're a solo content creator, there is no platform that continues to innovate and offer things. And yeah, YouTube will take things away and they're experimenting all the time without asking us. But sometimes we do get asked about, do you like this or not? To be able to do any of this, you have to do one thing. You have to start. And it doesn't matter whether you got it all figured out. Don't get hung up on the gear. Just start. Get your idea. And I've done some videos on this. If that'll help you, watch those. But get your idea, hit record, and just share your gifts with the World Wide Web. Ain't no better way to be on YouTube to be you on YouTube. I think we made that point. Thanks so much for watching.